What is going on, guys? It is DevilNeverCry, and I'm back to bring you some more information that was recently revealed about DMC5. So there's going to be two portions to this video. The first portion is going to be based on the new footage that we got recently from Microsoft's sort of 2-hour video where they went into depth on a few of their titles that they showed off at E3. And the other is just going to be about some information that we got from Microsoft's E3 Mixer, which included a short little interview with Itsuno himself. So starting off with the new gameplay snippets that we've got, we can immediately see that the max axe system is back. We see this where Nero does a level 3 charged high roller and basically blitzes the enemy like it's nothing. Following on from that, we've also got the confirmation of jump cancelling, where we see Nero jump cancelling 3 calibers sort of stringed together. Nobody really doubted the return of jump cancelling, so you know that wasn't that surprising. We then got to see Nero's Devil Breaker in action. So for those of you who remember the Nightmare Beta weapon from the previous games, this new Devil Breaker attack sort of reminds us of that. Multiple lasers sort of firing off from the arm and then bouncing around. Needless to say, shit looked fucking crazy. We then get the confirmation of returning moves such as the roulette spin, as well as the split move, or you know, the helm breaker for those of you who aren't too sure with the terminology here. And things look stylish and smooth as expected. We do get a little bit more footage with some of DMC3's enemies, and overall it is looking pretty fantastic. At a certain point in the gameplay, we can see another arm hanging off of Nero's belt. This again can be seen in the footage of Nero riding his rocket arm. We also see another hand hanging from his belt there. And that sort of ties into the second part of this video, which we're going to talk about right now, incidentally. So there was a short little interview done with Itsuno himself, where he revealed a small amount of information about the game. First and foremost, it turns out that the black dude at the start of the trailer is Morrison. Now some of you might be like, well, who the fuck is he? And that would make sense if you didn't watch the anime, which I guess not a lot of people have, considering it didn't really get a lot of raving reviews. Simply put, Morrison acts just like Enzo, who again is a character that was sort of established in the DMC1 novels, as well as even the DMC1 instruction booklet that came with the game. He's a dude who basically brings Dante a bunch of missions for him to undertake, as well as sometimes acting as his chauffeur to and from mission locations. So obviously he's undergone a revamp, because obviously Morrison is an old white dude in the anime, and here he's an old black dude. Needless to say, that's been confirmed. So yeah, he's not Enzo like many of us thought he would be. Then it's confirmed that Dante himself did hand down the DMC business, or you know, the demon hunting business, straight down to Nero, as was sort of stated in the DMC4 novel. So it's interesting here because it seems like Capcom have decided to take little bits here and there from sort of different, you know, canon or non-canon bits of DMC lore that aren't exactly in the games, and they've just picked and chosen, and they've sort of woven their own sort of canon lore basically, which is interesting. It shows that, you know, they know that fans are ecstatic about the series, and you know, they've decided to add some depth into it, sort of tying things in together, which is really cool. You know, they then decide to go on to the engine, a little bit of PR talk, where they basically state that everything we saw was rendered real time. So none of it was like pre-rendered or, you know, CGI nonsense, which you know, it's to be expected that it's all like real time. But again, it is crazy that they'd be able to get that level of fidelity just running at 60 frames a second off the bat. We then get confirmation that that bloody, you know, multi-eyed dude we saw at the beginning of the trailer with like the crazy crown and like creepy hands, he's apparently like 8 meters tall, and that he plays heavily into the story. There's a lot they weren't allowed to say, but you know, I'm assuming that they've got a roadmap for things that they are and aren't allowed to reveal. They then go back to confirm that, you know, as Dante has handed Nero the business, he literally handed him the neon sign himself, which is a small little interesting tidbit. You know, it means that Nero and Dante have obviously interacted since DMC4, you know, since the famous, you know, will we ever meet again question. You know, it's interesting that, you know, I guess their bond has developed in a way, because obviously Nero is Dante's nephew. We then get a little more obvious information, or obvious to most really, that the story is basically going to center around the demonic tree and the city, Redgrave City. You know, things that we could obviously infer and imply from the trailer itself, but you know, it's nice to get confirmation. Going back to the van, obviously that van is been confirmed to be the main hub, or you know, act as the reception, as well as, you know, being the actual reception for the business itself. It's sort of a DMC on wheels sort of situation, but they were really vague with that, so we don't know what that means. Maybe it might act as like the mission menu, where, you know, if you want to upgrade, maybe it will show a little segment of maybe Nero walking over to the workbench, or you know, doing this and that. But yeah, you know, looking forward to how that's going to pan out. Then moving on to the Devil Breakers. So obviously the Devil Breakers are going to act as a replacement for the Devil Bringer, but itsuno has then gone on to state that there will be several unlockable bionic arms, or you know, Devil Breakers. One interesting tidbit though is that he then goes on to say that the arm will break throughout the game, and that they will actually be replaced in real time. I mean, I don't think this is gameplay related. Maybe, you know, it's a nice little detail to add in, but that was kind of vague. I'm unsure of what he really means by that they'll break throughout. Maybe they'll, you know, there'll be wear and tear and they'll break throughout the game. Hopefully it doesn't affect gameplay too much, but yeah, I guess we'll just have to wait and see for that. Then he goes on to the nitty-gritty of the development. So obviously you know, when the game was first sort of conceptualized, itsuno stated that he'd attempted to get as many people involved from previous games, you know, so staff that worked on DMC3 and DMC4 he reached out to be like, hey, you know, we want to make 5 and we want you back, sort of thing, which I guess is a good angle to go for, considering that, you know, those are some of the greatest, you know, considered to be some of the greatest DMC games. So obviously you want people that you're comfortable that working with, and you know that they can produce basically fantastically. Yuji Shimomura, who I believe is the cutscene director, is confirmed to be back. Obviously you can see that in the trailer with the whole Nero in the van sort of cutscene where it flips and he's doing all sorts of crazy shit. But you know, this dude is responsible for some of the wild and wacky fights in cutscenes that we get, you know, including Dante's, you know, infamous DMC3 opening. So I'm very excited and intrigued to see what more we can get from him. They then go on to state that Nero's coat, I believe, was actually made, replicated, and then they scanned that in, so that's how that worked. It's interesting, it's not just, you know, they rigged it up themselves and then sort of slapped textures. No, it was initially made physically and then they modeled it in. It just goes to show the lengths they'll go to get this game to just look slap bang fantastic. You know, the polish and attention to detail they have is great. You know, it's fantastic to see. And then, you know, towards the end, they begin to, so the interview begins to die down. You know, we're coming to the end of it, and then itsuno, you know, and Matt Walker make the interesting sort of statement that there's apparently a few clues in the Devil Trigger video. You know, the actual music video. So no doubt people are going to go and sort of scour that, or as am I, to be honest. You know, let's not beat around the bush here. And then, you know, finally to close out, they then state that we'll see more at Gamescom, which, as I stated in a previous video, I believe is in August. So yeah, we haven't got long to wait, but it is going to feel quite long. But again, we've waited 10 years for this, so a couple months is going to be nothing. And that's that. The interviews were kind of interesting because it did seem like itsuno had so much more to say, but I guess they just kind of had to cut him off because of time constraints, which kind of sucks. We didn't really get anything about Dante or Trish or anybody else. We didn't really learn much. But yep, hype is still there. I'm definitely going to go take a look at that music video and see what else I can find and report back to you guys. But yeah, it has been DevilNeverCry. Thank you guys for watching, and yeah, I'll see you next video.